Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about China and the United States and how narratives are shaping up and how the influence game is being played and how things will start to alter your perception of the way things are. And we're going to do this because we got a message, and I know why this is taking place. I've noticed in your videos you talk about Russia's military failures in Ukraine as a comparison of the United States military. You don't make comparisons to China. They seem more capable and even a little scary. Well, I mean, objectively, the Chinese military is way more capable than Russia's, presumably. We don't actually know because we haven't really seen them in large-scale operations for real. But I would bet just about anything that, yes, they are far more capable. There's also the perception game being played. China, just like the United States, puts out information to make their military seem more capable and even a little scary. It's an influence game. Psychological operations, that kind of thing. One that just came out that is getting a lot of attention is you can call it a documentary, called Chasing Dreams. And it has come out, and it's largely focused on how China would go after Taiwan. The premise is to make the Chinese military seem as effective as humanly possible. And much like that post from the commander of the VDV, they included some things that are military mindset and, tough guy stuff for the military, but when you really think about it, not necessarily the best in the world. As an example, a quote from the documentary. If war broke out and the conditions were too difficult to safely remove the naval mines in actual combat, we would use our own bodies to clear a safe pathway for our forces. Talking about a landing force. I mean, yeah, that sounds cool, but UDT, or I don't know what they call them, frogmen, it's expensive to train them. You really don't want them doing that. It sounds good. It sounds scary, but in real life, A, they probably wouldn't do that, and B, if they did, it's not actually a good thing. It's a failure. You're wasting your troops. And people talk about numbers and population and the number available for military service or fit for military service. Yeah, that's all fine and good, but you can't create commandos in a day. They have to be trained. Another one from the same documentary was a pilot saying that his plane would be the last missile rushing towards the enemy if in a real battle I had used up all my ammunition. I mean, you could do that if you want to. Here in the United States, we tend to just train them to go back to base and rearm. It's meant to be scary. But realistically, they're warriors, they're soldiers, they're sailors and pilots. They don't want to die any more than anybody else. It's propaganda. I would imagine that Chinese command would be super upset if a pilot who was running low or running out of ammo decided to slam a J-20 into the ground or into another plane rather than simply going back to get more ammo. That would probably be something that they would see as totally uncool and a giant waste. I get it on some level, because if you aren't really aware of how this stuff is made, why it's put out, you see it and it is scary. It's not. I mean, understand, they're not really going to do that. That is aimed and geared towards creating the effect it's having. The Chinese military, by all counts, is far more capable than Russia's. The Chinese government is also far more logical than Russia's. I don't think they want a conflict any more than the United States does. It's bad for business. And you have to remember that while, especially in the United States, you have a lot of people saying, well, it's a communist government. I mean, sure, but it's not exactly one that I would say is one that has completely given up on the idea of capitalism. One that isn't, in some ways, limited in the goals of their revolution. It's bad for business, it's bad for influence, it's bad for both countries if they go to war. That being said, just like the United States, they want to put out information to demoralize the opposition populace. I wouldn't worry too much about it, and just understand that if it's in a documentary, this is what I would do in real life if it was a real war. Odds are it's not. And realistically, their commanders don't actually want them to do that. So I would take all of that with a grain of salt. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.